All right, and then there's that other billionaire, Michael Bloomberg, who right now is going to be out in New Hampshire. He's contemplating a run as a Democrat, not as an independent. Shirley Gasparino has been following these fast-moving developments. Hey, buddy.
It's interesting. That guy looked like he had too many lattes. The guy that was screaming. Yes, it was the combination.
Overdo it.
It was the combination of the caffeine and the sugar from the pumpkin spice.
I've been there,
and that's why you are bouncing off the walls every day.
But that was kind of funny, all things aside.
Yes, it was. That was good. Listen, I think.
Do they act up like that at your book signings or your events?
You know, I get Wall Street guys that want to kill me.
Really?
Yes, just so you know. And they do get nasty.
I get people hooked up to oxygen.
Well, that's better.
It is better. They're very nice.
The Wall Street guys are kind of big, kind of nasty because I've cost them money.
Yeah, and they don't like you.
And it always, when I'm in a restaurant, not with the guys I grew up with, but with, some scrawny, like my publisher or some editor. It's never Tony Palumbo and Tommy Tucker and the guys that would absolutely rip their heads off. But in any event,
Bloomberg in the run. Is he running?
Well, I should point out that I've been speaking with people at Bloomberg over the last couple of days, and there's a palpable...
Bloomberg, the company.
The company, the news division. I have a lot of friends there. It's, I believe, a first-rate news division.
It's phenomenal.
It's one of the best. Really smart people, the people I've worked with over the years. Couple things. They hear from him, okay, and this is like what he's told people there, that he wants to run. And there's no doubt he's not just considering.
This is his moment,
right? Yeah, he wants to run. He's going to be 77 in a couple of weeks. The next one he's going to obviously be too old for. This is his moment. He wants to run. He's got the money. We should point out, this is not like Trump billionaire where, if you add a couple of buildings and it's illiquid. This is... He's got $47 billion. He's got probably 10 or 20 in Treasury bonds. I mean, where he can write a check for $2 billion easy. He wants to run. Now the question is, will he run? And I think people are divided internally. Some people think, yes, definitely going for it. He's given every indication. Public comments and what he said internally. Other people think, nah, does he really want the scrutiny? Bloomberg LP had a few Me Too issues over the years, lawsuits and, he said some maybe impolite things, some would say very sexist things. They think that's going to be thrown at him. The real interesting thing, if he runs, is what people are worried about internally. They believe, a lot of people in there, and we're talking 3,000 journalists, 120 countries, print, broadcast, radio, the whole thing. They believe there's a very good chance he's going to have to sell the company if he does run. Why is that? I mean, listen, remember when he was mayor? He didn't sell it. He kind of arm's lengthed it, put someone else. I think he put Dan Doctorow, or I can't remember who he put.
But it wasn't as if he wasn't keeping a very close eye.
Yeah, but you remember, covering New York City Hall is a very niche beat for Bloomberg.
Right.
Covering a major president who might become president, even if he does become president, affects every beat at Bloomberg. And so the thinking is, you just can't put it in a blind trust. You're going to have to sell it.
So it's not like if you're a Trump hotel worker. It's very different.
A little different, yes, I think. Well, Trump hotel workers don't have the megaphone that Bloomberg News has. And so I think that's the problem. And so that is the palpable,
But then the question is, who would buy it?
Nervousness. Now, I don't know who would buy it. Yeah. I mean, who's got the bucks? A Peter Thiel, who's got money to throw around, that always wanted to get into business.
And how much would it go for?
I don't know.
Certainly more than the Washington Post.
Yes, the company itself, remember, and here's the other thing why people are worried about internally. The machine, the terminal, the data is what is, where they make a lot of money. The news is kind of like a value-added aspect of that. Now, I can make the case that traders love the news because it moves markets, and they do. I mean, and so together, it's hard to break them apart, but people internally think there's a good chance they're going to break it apart. So I think that's if he runs, the next question will be, what does he do with the news division? And I'm pretty sure...
But he wouldn't do anything unless and until he had made it to the White House, right? Or not?
I don't know.
Really?
The theory is that if he goes for it, and remember, if he goes for it, it's going to be very serious. He's going to spend $1 billion to $2 billion. Wow. How much did they spend last year total? Trump didn't spend a lot of money, but the one before that, it was like, I think, a total of $1 billion. So you imagine Mike Bloomberg just literally writing the check for $1 billion for himself or $2 billion. That's the
And his move, if he does run, is not to do the Schultz thing and run as an independent. He's toyed with that in the past, but obviously felt that it's a nowhere mission.
I've been following Mike Bloomberg for years. I've known he spoke very deeply with people about it in the past. He doesn't think you can win. No, he's going to run as a centrist Democrat.
He was a great mayor.
I thought he was really good, but remember,
sodas and all that.
But the real question is, I mean, your last guest brought it up. You know, centrism. You know, does that sell the Democratic Party?
Passe.
We may find out.
But you know, it's interesting to point out the 40 seats the Democrats gained in the House. Most were centrist. Most were moderate.
Pennsylvania, all the states that Trump won. So there is an appetite for logical people with normal dispositions in the Democratic Party.
That's it, right.
I'll never make it. I never made it in this party. Are you kidding me?
All right, Charlie, thank you very, very much. We'll watch that very, very closely here.